Some doors aren't meant to be opened. Yet curiosity always finds the key. Zayan had heard that warning his whole life. It was a phrase the villagers whispered when the old government building in the forest was mentioned. A place of experiments, secrecy, and disappearances. People said the walls were cursed, that those who entered never truly came out. But Zayan wasn't the type to believe in ghost stories. At least, that's what he told himself. That's why, on a fading autumn evening, he stood at the edge of the trees, flashlight in hand, with his two best friends at his side. Ayesha, bold and sharp-tongued, grinned at him. So, Zayan the brave, are we finally proving these village idiots wrong? Nimra, quieter, hugged her jacket tighter. Or proving them right. Relax, Zayan said, forcing a laugh. It's just a building. We'll stay one night, and tomorrow everyone will know it's just old bricks and creaky doors. The forest swallowed their voices as they stepped in. At first, the woods felt harmless. The air smelled of damp earth and pine. Fireflies blinked among the trees. Ayesha kept cracking jokes to keep the mood light, and Zayan responded with his usual sarcasm. Nimra lagged behind, glancing back every few steps. But the deeper they went, the quieter the forest became. The birds went silent. The crickets stopped. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. And then, through the trees, the building appeared. It loomed like a scar in the forest concrete walls, streaked with black mold, windows broken like jagged teeth, vines crawling up its sides as though nature was trying to strangle it. Charming. Ayesha muttered. Zayan pushed the metal door open. It shrieked so loudly, the sound seemed to echo forever. Dust rushed at them, and for a moment, the air inside felt heavier, colder. The corridors stretched unnaturally long, their walls peeling and cracked. Rusted doors lined the hallways, and broken glass crunched under their shoes. They set up camp in a room with 4 intact walls. Zayan lit a small lantern, and for a while, the place felt almost safe. They ate snacks, laughed, and even recorded a silly video to show their friends later. Then came the first slam. Somewhere deep in the building, a door shut with brutal force. The laughter died. It's the wind, Zayan muttered, though his hands trembled. But it wasn't just one slam. Moments later came the whispers. Faint, slithering through the corridors, sometimes like laughter, sometimes like sobbing. Nimra pressed close to Ayesha. We shouldn't be here. Ayesha's voice wavered. Ghosts aren't real. It's just this creepy place messing with us. Sleep was impossible. Around midnight, restless and uneasy, they decided to explore. Their footsteps echoed strangely, sometimes overlapping as though there were more than 3 of them. The flashlight beams cut through thick darkness, revealing walls scarred with scratches and old, crumbling papers littering the floor. They found the basement stairs. Against their better judgment, Zayan led the way. The basement air was colder, heavy with rot. Their breaths fogged the air. On the far wall, words were scrawled in what looked like dry blood. We never left. Ayesha swallowed hard. Probably some old graffiti. That was when Zayan's light caught it. A figure at the far end of the basement, human-shaped, motionless, watching. Zayan froze. Who's there? The figure tilted its head, slowly, almost curiously. Then it smiled. The flashlight flickered, and it was gone. They bolted upstairs, slamming the room's door shut. This is insane, Nimra hissed, shaking. We need to leave, now. It's just shadows, Ayesha said, but her bravado was breaking. The building didn't let them rest. The whispers grew louder, circling their room. Something scraped along the walls. The door handle rattled once, then again, violently, as though something wanted in. At 3 a.m., The lantern sputtered out. Darkness swallowed them whole. And then a voice. Low, cold, inches from Zayan's ear. You shouldn't have come. He yelped, stumbling back. The girls screamed. Something slammed against the door, harder and harder, until the hinges shrieked. Then silence. When dawn's pale light finally bled into the cracks, they gathered their things in trembling silence and fled. The forest seemed alive again. Birds sang. Sunlight filtered gently through the trees. The air warm and forgiving. By the time they reached the village road, it almost felt like a nightmare fading. Almost. Later that day, Nimra checked her phone. She had taken photos inside the building. Her hands shook as she scrolled. In every photo, there was a fourth figure. Sometimes in the background, sometimes at the end of the hall. Always watching. And in the final photo, the one she'd taken as they left at dawn, the figure wasn't behind them anymore. It was standing between them. Smiling. That night, Ayesha didn't come home. Her body was found days later near the forest edge, face twisted in a silent scream. Nimra stopped speaking entirely, staring blankly at walls, as though listening to voices no one else could hear. And Zayan, he simply vanished. Some say he's still inside the building. Some say he never left at all. But the villagers whisper the same warning, over and over, whenever the building is mentioned. Some doors aren't meant to be opened. Yet curiosity always finds the key. The whispers didn't stop at dawn. Zayan thought the gray light creeping through the boarded windows meant safety. But when he turned to wake Ayesha and Nimra, his blood froze. They weren't alone. The figure stood inside the room, now no longer a shadow, but flesh, pale and cracked like dried earth. Eyes hollow, mouth stretched into a smile too wide for its face. It moved fast. Faster than thought. Ayesha screamed as it grabbed her, dragging her toward the wall. Her body jerked violently, and in a blink, she was gone, swallowed into the concrete, as though the building itself had eaten her alive. Nimra clawed at Zayan's arm, sobbing, "Do something." But the ghost turned its hollow eyes on them. It whispered words that weren't words, and the air itself grew heavy, crushing. Nimra's body lifted from the floor, limbs twisting at impossible angles, before she collapsed with a sickening crack. Zayan ran for the door, but it slammed shut. The figure appeared in front of him, smiling still. "Stay," it hissed. "Forever." The last thing Zayan felt was cold hands closing around his throat, pulling him down into the floor. When the villagers later searched the building, they found only their backpacks, a broken phone, and 3 shadows burned into the walls of the room, frozen in terror. And the building stood quiet again, waiting for the next visitors.